Hey there guys, Matthew here, joined by Liv for yet another journey into the classics review. Yes, we are back with review number 7 today, cracking through these classics we are, and today we are dipping into the Fifth Doctor for the very first time. The Visitation is what we are watching today, which of course was originally aired on the 19th of August in 1982 and written by Mr. Eric Sayward, which instantly made me think that it was going to be a fantastic story. I've seen it once before. Couldn't remember a thing. First time for you, as a lot of these classics will be. And basically the Visitation it starts with a comet that crashes to Earth. It's not a comet, it's a spaceship full of pterodactyls who establish themselves on Earth and basically want to take over via the use of the plague by infecting rats and spreading the disease across the planet because they want to basically take it over as the pterodactyl himself is a fugitive and is on the run and cannot return home, basically. So, this is going to be a really cool review because a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about is going to be absolutely brand new to you, so it's going to be loads of first impressions. So, yeah, The Visitation overall, what did you think of it as a story?
I liked it, but...
A but already?
It didn't blow me away.
Right.
And I was thinking by watching it, I enjoyed the watch. It was a good watch. I was dipping in and out at part 3, and with some of part 4, but it wasn't like The Vengeance on Varos, so where I was completely out of it. I enjoyed the watch, but sleeping on it and waking up on it today, it didn't blow me away of me to say, wow, that was brilliant.
Interesting. I very much enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it blew me away either. But I thought it was good and it was solid enough. A lot of good bits in there, a few good characters. I thought it was good. I wouldn't say it blew me away either, but I did enjoy it, and the more I've thought on it, the more I've liked it. I think I might have gone the opposite way to you. There was something about watching that story last night that I really liked. I don't know if there was a charm to it or what, but I just look back on it now, sleeping on it like you. But I think I've gone the opposite way. I just think I actually really liked that.
So I enjoyed watching it, and there's nothing wrong with it. So it's slow in part, but that's the case in a lot of classic Who stories. You just have to bear with it. But I'm thinking about it saying I enjoyed it, but nothing blew me away to say, wow, that was fantastic. I loved watching that last night.
Yeah, I feel the same.
So I'd watch it again. I wouldn't go back to watch it in a hurry.
Right.
If you get what I mean.
I'm like that with a few things. Davison's era overall, but I think this is definitely one of the better stories of his first season, definitely. And there was a lot going on in this, and I think it ticked along at a good pace. It did slow down in parts, but I was never at one point looking at my watch thinking, "Oh God, come on!" I was never pushing the story to pick up or carry on. Even when it slowed down, it was still going at a pace which kept me intrigued and going. And what I noticed about this episode as well is it was production-wise. I mean, I don't know if it's because we watched it on the collection, but I mean, this is the best looking episode we've watched. It's the best in terms of its effects. It's the best, especially with its music. The music was absolutely spot on, and I never noticed music in any Who, never mind classic Who, but I noticed the music in this and I thought it was absolutely perfect. And I noticed it was edited extremely well, because when one scene was maybe dragging, it would jump to another. Yeah. Even if it was for a few seconds before jumping to another again. So I just felt it was written and edited in a way which it was always progressing, picking up, doing something else. So that's what I really liked about The Visitation. Now, we're dipping into a lot of new ground here with you, and we're going to start with the man himself, the Doctor. Now, Davison, I've expressed many times, and I was excited to watch this myself as well, because he is definitely in the lower end of my... If I was to do a doctor's ranking, he would be in the lower end. So I was very intrigued to see what I thought of him in this, and I liked him. He was good, but still, there's just something missing with me, and I cannot put my finger on what it is. He's likeable, he's funny, he has a little bit of, a little edge to him sometimes, and he has a few funny lines here and there. Nothing wrong with him, but there's just always been something with Five that I just do not click with, and I still just didn't. What did you think? First impressions of the Fifth Doctor?
I really liked him. I liked his energy. So we like to investigate things. So when Tegan got captured, he went off and did his own thing. I liked that. So he wasn't moping about getting the companions back. I liked that a lot. There was some nice funny moments with him, but not too many, which I liked. I honestly really liked him.
Where would you say he stands then? Because obviously you've seen a few Tom, Pertwee, and obviously Colin's Doctor now as well.
This is a difficult thing because so I'm judging this off his one story, but with Pertwee, so I've seen 3. So if I didn't watch the 3 Doctors last weekend, so I'd have said definitely. Which
was in a tweet along, by the way.
Yeah.
You haven't missed the review of that. No, don't worry. We watched 2 in this series, and one was the tweet along. So
if I didn't watch that, I would have probably put Davidson above Pertwee. But in the 3 Doctors, there was a new side that I hasn't seen to him, and I liked. That's why at the moment he's just below Pertwee, but
above Colin.
Yeah.
Davison.
Yeah.
You've gone above Colin.
Yeah. Oh, obviously. So goes
obviously.
Colin, Davidson. At the moment, it might change. Pertwee, and then Tom.
Fair enough.
With the stories I've watched so far.
Yeah, I can't fault him. I just can't fault him. It actually annoys me. I'm annoyed at myself because there's nothing wrong. I cannot find a single fault with,
I don't think there's anything wrong with him at all.
His costumes, he's dressed as a cricketer. I mean, but it's unique and it's quirky. And
don't mind his costume. Compared to Colin's, where it's like, just too much in your face. So it doesn't suit his Doctor in the slightest.
Yeah, his costume does suit Five.
It does.
Very
quirky,
simple. And
so individual, just like himself, really.
Yeah. There's just something I just cannot click with. I just never have, and I don't know if I ever will. One of my goals going into this series was to watch more Davison, go back and see some of the stories I've seen already, and just hope that something clicks. And I thought with the Visitation, I thought, this is a good start. But still, I just cannot.
But we've only seen one.
Engage with his Doctor. Well, yeah, we've only seen one.
We've only seen one, so you have to give it a bit of time. But
yeah.
So I know where you're coming from because we always have moments like this. Like my goal in this series, so to get on board with McCoy a bit more.
Yes, we still are yet to pick a McCoy, of course. So
just because so the stories I've seen of him, I find myself not grabbed by his attention.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'd put Colin above Davison at the moment, but I'm hoping it'll change. We can only see. But in this story, nothing wrong with him. I thought he brought some great energy, great moments.
Nice humour as well.
I loved his. I loved the dynamic with his companions. Tegan would do his head in and he'd go to shout at her and he'd hold back and be like, "No, Doctor, let's not do it." His little dynamic with Wiedrich as well. We'll get to the 3 companions, but a solid 5th Doctor performance, faultless.
Yeah.
Just.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah,
enjoyable.
I just can't.
Nice watch.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, to be fair, in case of Androzani, I can't wait to rewatch that again because his performance in that alone would probably it does transcend him through the ranking completely. He bursts a hole through the top of the ranking. It's just all of his era put together. That's the thing that I'm looking forward to looking into the most. Because you can't judge a Doctor off one story, of course, whether it is a bad one or like Vengeance for You, or if it's Caves with Davison, where I think he's amazing. The Three Companions. Now, this is definitely new ground with you because we did watch Earthshock on the Facebook page years ago.
Cannot remember it at all.
You know, I'm sure we've watched Caves, which that was Perry.
Cannot remember it at all.
But this may as well be completely brand new ground with Tegan, Nyssa, and Adric. A very similar TARDIS team to the one we've got now in terms of its size, its numbers, and a similar problem to what we're having nowadays as well. Three's a crowd.
It really is like poor Nyssa. I was enjoying in the beginning, but then all of a sudden, she got left in the TARDIS for how many episodes, and that's the problem. You have a big TARDIS team, like in the current series, so it's obviously that one's going to be left out, and I also think with the other two, so they have such big personalities within themselves. So Nyssa gets kind of forgotten about, so in a way, because she's more quiet. Yes,
well, yeah, I think it is just and we might see it change between the three when we watch more episodes with them, but it's the same problem. The three of them individually, I enjoyed watching, but overall, one always just fell through the cracks. And unfortunately, it was Nyssa. Tegan was well in the thick of it. Adric was. He even tried to fight the android, which is a very interesting scene, hilarious. But Nyssa, unfortunately, was tasked with putting together the sonic booster to take down the android, and she pretty much was just stuck in the TARDIS for the whole episode. I mean, she went back and got the sonic booster. It was clearly too big to carry or move anywhere, so she was at that point just stuck in the TARDIS waiting for the android to luckily be lured in. The poor girl didn't do anything else.
So I think it's because Tegan and Adric have like so much bigger personalities than she does, maybe.
Maybe we'll see how it obviously with the stories.
I was slightly dreading getting a Tegan episode, so just because I've heard so much about her, but actually she wasn't that bad. There was parts of her I enjoyed. I found her a bit of a spoiled brat in the beginning. So moaning about bloody Heathrow.
That's Tegan all over for you.
I was thinking, for Christ's sake, shut it up.
Oh, bless her.
But actually, so through the episode, I wouldn't call her annoying. The same as Adric. But with Adric, so I did find some similarities with Ryan.
I don't see any at all.
Stupid, in a way. They're both like that. So where they'd go head first into something.
They are. But Adric's different because he's very clever. He flies the TARDIS. But he also, I think with Adric, he's very clever, but he's like that nerd who tries to be, big and tough, and he tries to be a bit like the Doctor sometimes, and he just fails miserably. But
So Adric's acting is slightly better than Ryan's.
Yeah, Matthew Waterhouse is
But I wouldn't say it's the best I've seen.
No, I wouldn't.
In turn, but because thinking of the classics, I've also heard so much bad things about Adric.
Adric's just a funny character. They're all. I wouldn't compare any of these individually to Yaz, Ryan, and Graham at all. And that's the thing. People are instantly comparing them, and I wouldn't compare them at all. I think comparing the fact that there's three companions, absolutely.
There was, to me, in some things, some similarities there with Brian.
No, I didn't see them at all. I think it's easy to say, right, yep, there's three companions in the current series, three companions here, let's compare them. I don't think there's any similarities between any of them. I think these three arguably have more to them than the current 3 do.
I would agree with that, but but at the moment, so it's a shame for Nissa for half the episode left in the TARDIS was there was nothing to do.
I agree with Nissa. Yeah, I definitely want to see more of her and hopefully another story. I think Tegan, and I always look back on Tegan and I'm like, oh, Tegan, but she actually made me laugh quite a bit in this.
Yeah.
At the start, she thinks she's at Heathrow.
Apart from at the beginning.
She's all ready and stuff. It's funny.
When I found her a bit like a spoiled bloody brat.
I thought it was funny.
About Heathrow, but as the episode went on, so I was like, do you know, she's all right.
I found her funny. I genuinely
did. She had
did.
stuff to do, which someone like Nissa did.
Oh yeah, she was right in the middle. I mean, she got captured by the pterodactyls. Then her mind was taken over. Then she was stuck in a cell with Wiedrich. She was all over the place. Poor Tegan. And I guess it's that's what happens when you're desperate to leave the life of the TARDIS. You get dragged into it even more so. But yeah, at the start, I just. I was more so just.
Did like Five's dynamic with them though?
Yeah, I was more like Tegan, typical Tegan, wanting to go home all the time, and Five never, whether he's doing it on purpose or what, he can never properly get her back to Heathrow, and it's there's just something funny about it. I find she's just a funny character. I just laugh at Tegan now more than looking into it. Yeah. That's just who she is, and Wiedrich as well. He can be.
I can definitely see where you're coming from with was finding her funny because so in some scenes she is like that, but at the beginning I was like, oh God, please no.
There were some scenes where she was having a bit of a tantrum, where I was a bit like, all right, Tegan, at the same time, you don't mourn about the life you've got in the TARDIS. People would kill for it, but sometimes I think it can be it can make a character seem a bit whingy, but then other times, with how the Doctor reacts to her, it's funny.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's hit and miss, and it's the same with Wiedrich. He can sometimes come across again a bit tantrumy and spoilt and annoying, and whiny. But sometimes his character's quite an interesting one and a clever one, like when he flew the TARDIS and saved them in this when they were stuck in the house and stuff. So.
There was just some things with him that I found him a bit dim in parts.
Yeah, he is. He's clever, but he can also he's clumsy as well. He's clever, but he can also he's capable of doing the odd stupid thing sometimes. Yeah. Like that scene where he tried to take on the android. I mean, it was hilarious. Yeah, what was he trying to do? I mean, his kicks and his punches. Someone said in the stream that it wasn't even Matthew Waterhouse who did it. They got a stuntman to do it because he couldn't even do that properly.
Oh, bless him.
Oh dear. Good old Matthew Waterhouse.
Because how old was Matthew Waterhouse when this was filmed? But was he quite young? Because
not very. He wasn't very old. No.
He looked quite young.
Yeah.
I thought he looked quite young.
They're an intriguing TARDIS team, which I'm looking forward to delving deep into.
Was this TARDIS team throughout Five's majority of the Diva? Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Right.
It was them, and then Perry comes along later. But they all leave at different times. I believe Nissa stays with him for quite a while. Wiedrich doesn't live much longer after this, bless him. Shock. And Tegan, I can't remember. But we'll see.
Clever in the beginning.
She is clever.
So where she was smart in that, but it was such a shame that in them parts she just like was shoved out the way.
You can tell she's alien, Nissa.
Oh, is she alien?
Mm.
Oh.
She's from Traken, yeah.
What's Traken?
It's, you'll see when you watch Keeper of Traken.
Right.
The Master is actually in the body of Nissa's father. He steals Nissa's father's body.
Well,
Anthony and his Master, who is throughout Logopolis, well, Keeper of Traken, all the way through to Survival. So,
very much looking forward to watch them.
Indeedy. So yeah, solid companion TARDIS team. Like with now there's more to them, but the numbers obviously doesn't help. And then we met a character called Richard Mace, who is infamous in classic Doctor Who. I know a lot of our friends, Gary at the podcast, loves him, finds him hilarious. Geeks loves him too. Michael Robbins, my God. I bloody loved the guy. I absolutely... The Plague! He was pulled right out of a panto. Right out the midst of a panto. But somehow, somewhere, his character was captivating. The voice was, yes, so out of place from everything else, and it just didn't feel right. It was so wrong. But I bloody loved him in this. I thought he's one of the most enjoyable sidecast I think we've had. He was one of the characters who, when sleeping on it, I looked back on and thought, he was bloody great. I loved Richard Mace in this.
No.
Oh, you're joking.
The accent was incredibly annoying.
Oh.
The problem was it was so over the flipping top, and every time he spoke, so I went high pitched. I was like, oh no. The first couple of scenes, I was like, who the hell is this guy with that panto voice? It was so pantomime. No.
Oh, I loved his character. His performance wasn't over the top.
I liked his character, but it was the voice. I couldn't deal with the voice. So if it was played down a lot more than it was, it would have been absolutely fine. But the voice was just far too much for me.
Don't you agree that his overall performance, like his mannerisms and his body language, that was not over the top?
No, I enjoyed him as a character, but it was the voice. I couldn't deal with the voice.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend and say I don't see where you're coming from. I absolutely see where you're coming from. I think it's one of them.
Every time he spoke, I was like, oh God, no.
It's one way or the other. You love it or you don't. And I just think it adds just such a unique charm to his character, and such a likability to him. I honestly loved Richard, and I thought without him in the story, it might not have been as good. And you don't say that about many side characters in Classic Who. I just thought he played a lovely little part. Very much liked him.
The voice for me, that just did it incredibly annoying.
Ah, well, I had a feeling you wouldn't like it, but I very much did. Then we had the villains. We started with the android, which look great. I thought they look great. They have a very creepy sort of blank expression to them. But they played just enough of a part being the pterodactyl's sort of henchmen.
Yeah.
They would not have been a good enough proper villain.
No.
But I think they played a good enough part, didn't they? I like the android.
I have noticed with Classic Who that so the villains we've had have been creepy.
Yeah.
Apart from Sil.
Yeah.
They've looked good, they've sounded really good and stuff like that, and they were good.
Yeah, I like them, and the pterodactyls too.
Yeah. One part that I would have liked to have seen was so at the beginning, so we've seen them taking over the house of these three people, but for quite a while, because that seemed to get left. So I would have liked some flashback scenes. So with how they drove them out in that, maybe. Yeah,
I mean, one thing I do like a lot about this story is how the opening is showing them landing and then killing the people in the house or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we get taken completely away from that, and the whole story is about unravelling that mystery, what happened.
Yeah.
Which I think is brilliant, because there's constantly something there that you're wanting to know more about. You know, you're in this mysterious house, what happened to the family? But yeah, I would have liked the addition of maybe like a flashback.
Yeah,
I agree.
I would have.
But I think the way that the story was structured from the beginning was very, very good. It wasn't just the Doctor and them land, there's a mystery, and they investigate. Something happened, it shows you what happened, and then the investigation begins. And it was an intriguing mystery throughout the story, I thought.
Yeah.
Because you don't see what the pterodactyls look like in the beginning, or the androids.
No, you don't.
At first. So as it all unravels, it's quite a good reveal how it all builds up. The pterodactyls looked absolutely fine. Apart from the neck. Around the neck they looked a bit iffy, but the scarring on the one side looked fantastic. Very good, solid, classic villain, I'd say.
Yeah, I would as well.
And I especially liked how it ended. I thought the ending I forgot completely about. It caught me completely off guard. Spoiler alert if you've not seen The Visitation. I mean, I'm assuming you won't be still at this point in the review if you don't want to know spoilers. But they follow them to London because the pterodactyl is wanting to meet up with the rest of his kind, establish a new base. Mm-hmm. In London, they're going to spread the plague across the biggest city in the country. And after a bit of to and fro, the house that they're in sets on fire. And you think, and I was like, and then the Doctor runs off and he's like trying to get into the TARDIS and stuff, and I was like, isn't he going to save them? And I thought, what? Why is he not saving them? But then it made sense at the end.
That got me at first. I was like, is that it?
It was quite sad to see them, the pterodactyls, in the fire as well, wasn't it?
So ending like that, so I was like, I was really confused at that bit, but right until he went back in the TARDIS and it was explained, I was like, very clever. It was very clever. Nicely done as well. Nicely
done. Because at first, the pterodactyls, bless them, were burning to death in the building. And you saw them laying there and like bubbles were like bursting all over them because of the burns. And I was like, oh, the poor pterodactyls. I felt so bad. And the Doctor just ran off into the TARDIS and was like, yeah, Mace, you put the fire out. We've got to go. And I was like, what? The Doctor would never do that. You know what? And then the story was wrapped up like that. And I thought, this is a bit off. But then you realise that he's now entered a fixed point in time. It's the Great Fire of London, 1666. It started in Pudding Lane. And this is how it started. And that's why he has to shoot off. And he explains it in the end, and I think he says something like, no, we've got to let this fire rage on. He doesn't mention the actual name, but it's subtle enough for you to get it.
It was nice and subtle.
So bloody clever.
Yeah.
I just flippin' love it when Who does that. I just love it.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Very nicely done.
Great ending. It's one of them where you think, And then you get it, and you're like, that is clever. Very well done. So overall, solid. A solid Fifth Doctor story.
Enjoyable.
Very enjoyable.
Now,
there was a lot of ratings flying about in the chat. A couple of high ratings. There was a few 7s, 7.5s, 8s, and even 8.5s. So what would we rate this, and where would we rank it most importantly? Because I think, unlike Varos, I have no idea where you might rank this, I'll be honest. What would you rate it first of all?
I'm giving it a 6.
A 6?
There's nothing wrong with a 6.
Really?
There's nothing wrong with a 6.
Wow.
So like I said in the beginning, very enjoyable, but doesn't blow me away.
Wow. Aye, that's...
Are you really shocked about a 6?
I give it a 7.5.
Wow.
And I even think that might be a bit harsh. I was thinking about even an 8. I thought it was a very good story. I think a 6 is very harsh.
I don't think it is.
Really? Well, I'm giving it a 7.5. That throws into the question of where you've ranked it. I've got it in 3rd.
Oh.
It was between that and Creature from the Pit. But the ending I thought was just so much better. So I've put it above that and put it in 3rd.
I have it in 4th.
That's not too bad then. I was expecting it to be 5th or even bloody 6th.
I was to and froing of where to rank it, but within 3rd I have Creature from the Pit. I for some still reason that story I just really liked. Apart from the ending, which was off, I still really liked it, and in my head I was thinking, if between the two of them, what episode so would I choose to go back and rewatch? So it would be Creature from the Pit first.
Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, I can fault Creature from the Pit with its ending. I can't fault The Visitation.
I see what... Like, I liked it. It was enjoyable, but it didn't blow me away. So when something doesn't blow me away, I was like it last night after the stream. Perfectly fine, enjoyable, but in my head I was thinking, what's missing that some of the others have had?
I don't think your ranking's actually that bad. Because
it
was between third and fourth with me as well. Because I mean, there's no way it was going to be anywhere below. I mean, Ark in Space wasn't bad, but I mean, Invasion and Vengeance, it's much better than them two. But it was between Creature from the Pit and the Visitation for third. But the ending was just so clever. So yeah, but it wasn't quite War Machines or Time Warrior.
No.
Yeah, that's not too bad then. I think a 6 is a bit harsh.
I don't think it's harsh, but
there you go.
Know.
So that's our review of The Visitation. Of course, these are once a week now, so that is it for the classics until next weekend. As for the Fez, we're stuck on this one because we've picked an episode out which neither of us have seen.
You picked out.
I picked it. And the overwhelming reaction was, oh God, no, you're not going to enjoy this. Geeks said he couldn't even finish it. And Liv, made an outcry during the stream that we must remain open-minded, which is right. We must not prejudge, which is right.
We have to.
So, taking a big gulp. Next week, we've pulled out Underworld. React as you will, Fourth and Leela. I mean, I've never seen it, and it's one of them. It is just one of them classics for me, which I think just gets forgotten. It's one of them that I think is just watched, and then you forget it, and it's just in the archives that you might come up, it might pop up somewhere here, somewhere there. I have no idea what we might think of this one.
No.
But I mean, I
remain open-minded.
I went into the Web Planet thinking it was going to be the worst thing ever, and I loved it. Same with Time Flight, so it could go either way.
It could.
Next week, Underworld.
Let's not prejudge it.
No.
Stay open-minded.
Let's remain positive. But other than that, that is it for Journey into the Classics this week. If you've enjoyed this review, of course, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, to join us for our Journey into the Classics, we do watch one classic live on the channel before reviewing it every single week. Hit the bell so you do not miss a notification, of course, and comment below your thoughts on this story, where you'd rank it, what you'd rate it, and of course what your sort of prejudgments are of Underworld, which we're watching next week. But until next time, of course, you can stay updated on everything The Who Alex via the website, thewhoalex.com, where you can find the entire retro review, Journey into the Classics ranking in full over there, as well as links off to all of the socials, being Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But until next time, thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you next time.